Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. Please continue to pray for me by singing along with me, gesturing at your screen, and leaving a dislike on this video. Let's sing it again. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. So today is Friday. I have gotten myself seriously addicted to a number of things, and it's become a very unpleasant lifestyle that I've been having. And unfortunately, that's the story of my life. Everything that I touch, I eventually get myself addicted to. I cannot think of one exception, whether they be substances or activities, but more so the activities than the substances. But even substances, I got to be careful about. I want to talk about a few examples of addiction. Let's start with the substances. I was 16 years old when I quit drinking soda, but I used to have a big addiction to soda. I was drinking 3-4 liters of soda a day. Funny thing is, I don't think there has been a day in my life where I've drank one glass of soda. I've either not drank it or drank a lot of it, but I don't think there's been a day in my life where I've drank 1 or 2 glasses of soda. Probably never. But I quit drinking the soda when I was 16 years old. I never looked back again. And the reason I had quit drinking it was that I was going to college part time, and there was a girl in the classroom that I liked. Uh, I was a big fan of Kelly Clarkson. The girl, just think of her as almost a twin of Kelly Clarkson, right? Back then, right? Obviously, Kelly Clarkson's a lot older today. But I was overweight and I wanted to lose some weight. And toward the end of that semester, I was going to make a move on her. And I had gotten home from school that day, and I was just about to reach for my favorite soda. And I thought to myself, "Gee, let's try a glass of water first, and see if that goes well. If it doesn't go well, I could always go back to the soda." Long story short, I've never drank another soda since then, not one drop, and that was that. And not long after I quit drinking the soda, I started trying all sorts of healthy foods. So I was listening to a podcast about the dangers of drinking soda. This was back in 2003. It took you like 10 hours to download a podcast, and then you might listen to it for half an hour. Remember those good old days, dial up internet? And so I had painstakingly downloaded this podcast. I was listening to it. This guy by the name of Mike Adams, he hosts this show called The Health Ranger, was talking about the dangers of soda, and he joked during the podcast. He joked that it would be preferable to drink beer compared to soda, and it was just so funny to me. I was 16 years old, and the concept was just so funny that soda is so bad for you. You might as well drink beer, and so not long after that, I learned that there's non-alcoholic beer, and I started drinking it, and I quickly got myself addicted to non-alcoholic beer. I'm not so much addicted to it, and I drink other stuff nowadays too. But what was really funny was that my dad was teaching me to drive at the time. He had a Mazda Tribute, and he was teaching me to drive it. And one day, while learning to drive, without even thinking about it, I cracked open a non-alcoholic beer and started drinking it. And I thought that was such a funny combination. And so I opened the window and waved the beer out the window to show people what I was doing. And my dad was so upset at that remark. And not long after that, one day I was reading a story about one of the oldest living persons. I think she was 122 years old. And I wanted to know her lifestyle. And I learned that she had a chocolate habit. I didn't want to eat any sugar, though. So I went out to get some baking chocolate. And by the end of that day, I was already hooked. I think I ate about 2 4-ounce chocolate bars that day. And I've never really looked back, right? I did have a period of time where I went a few months without chocolate. But again, I don't think there has been a day in my life where I've eaten like half an ounce of chocolate. right? I either eat a lot of it or none at all, right? I don't I would not be happy if somebody asked me to eat half an ounce of chocolate a day. I don't think I could do it. I'd rather just not have it if that were the case, right? If we had some kind of hyperinflation and half an ounce was all I could afford, I'd rather just not eat it at that point, right? It's a lot easier to not think about it, right? Um, One of the biggest problems I run into when I travel is that I get homesick, but not for the reasons you might think of. I get homesick for the foods back home, right? I've traveled places where chocolate was not nearly as available. In Taiwan, it's really expensive, right? And again, when I go to Taiwan, I don't just cut back on it. I stop eating the chocolate altogether because I'm happier that way, right? But then I go to Taiwan and I quickly get myself addicted to the fish. There, they have a lot of good tilapia fish. Really inexpensive. I could really afford to chow down on it. Although I got to be careful. I think I got seriously poisoned with mercury last time around. I am autistic, and mercury really sets me off, so I have to be careful about that too. What's really interesting is that even though mercury sets me off, I almost feel like some kind of physical addiction to mercury. I get the symptoms, and then I need to eat more fish to chase those symptoms around for some reason. It's only when I get home and stop eating the fish altogether does the whole brunt of the mercury poisoning really hit in, right? Unfortunately, I mean, the substance addiction can get in the way, but what really hurts me is the activities addiction more so than anything else. So when my grandfather passed away in 2011, I was trying to take my mind off of that. I started writing an AI for the game of Othello. Before I knew it, I was competing in the Computer Olympiad. What really sucks is that at the beginning, it was a shiny new hobby, but it quickly consumed me, right? That's how a lot of my hobbies turned out, right? They start out really shiny and they quickly consume me. In 2022, I was teaching AP chemistry. I was at a tutoring center, and I had one really gifted student. I think he was 14 years old and already studying AP chemistry. And he had this really beautiful periodic table that he brought to the center, and it showed the rarity. And among other things, of all the chemical elements, so it was infographics of all the chemical elements, a picture of them, the rarity, what it's used in, when it was discovered, and all that. And I was going to show the student that how overvalued gold is and why silver and platinum are a much better buy. Right at the time, silver was going for like 1/100th of the price of gold, but it's only 10 times more common. Right, platinum was going for like a half or a third of what gold was going for, but it's almost as rare. I was going to show my student that information, and when I looked at the periodic table, I discovered that, wait a minute, there's all sorts of other metals that are almost as rare as gold, and some of them are really cheap. And what really caught my eye was bismuth, because I knew that people make crystals out of it. I couldn't imagine it being really expensive, right? And I don't, look at silver and platinum and maybe bismuth as well. And I went home, and before I knew it, I ordered a 10-pound bar of bismuth. And before I knew it, I made some crystals out of that too. And so, again, the first couple of weeks of that were exciting, but they quickly became a drag, right? Now, fast forward 2 years later, I was at one of my art shows dealing with the bismuth, and I saw a couple tables away. Somebody had painted these Mondrian squares, and I quickly got fascinated with that. And while working with Mondrian squares, I was at a gaming convention, and they had this Lego booth, and I thought I could put that together with Legos. And then I discovered Lego ideas, and again, another deep dive down that rabbit hole now, right? So it's just sad because all of these things start out really shiny, and they quickly become like a drug habit. What's really sad is my eating disorders, because they combine both. The eating disorders are kind of the combination of substance abuse plus addictive hobbies, right? They kind of fit in the intersection of that. So you get both of those problems combined into one, right? All right. So unfortunately, I had a really rough week of addiction with the bismuth with the Lego art project. And unfortunately, history shows that all of these have a terrible ending. It seems like uh, many of them caused me to lose my job. Most of them caused me to lose relationships. Some of them ended with physical altercations with somebody, and it's just really sad. It's just really sad. I wish I could have a healthier relationship. Oh, don't forget the fapping. Yeah, I was 10 years old when I started fapping. What had happened was we had just lost Princess Diana, and I had a huge crush on her. And I didn't even know why I was fapping in response to watching her. I had never learned about it, and so it's something that I did, and I didn't even know why I was doing. I was like, I would be in the middle of doing it, and so I would uh, literally ask myself, Andrew, what the fuck are you doing? What the fuck are you doing? And so I well, I've always loved chemistry, obviously, and my dad didn't want me to major in chemistry when I was a kid because I was accident prone. And so I had learned about Mary Curie, and I fapped, well, looking at pictures of her too. And I had no idea what I was doing, though. I was 11, 12 years old at this point. And so in the year 2000, the TV show Survivor was all the reality TV show Survivor was all the rage, and I had a crush on Colleen Haskell from season one, and finally by this point I was ready to open up about it. I talked to a friend in high school about what I was doing, and he explained that it was very normal, and so that was good. Who else did I fap to at the beginning? I had a huge crush on. Well, I was young at the time. We had a murder victim, John Benet Ramsey. She was murdered in her home. I think she was 6 years old, and so I had a huge crush on her too. And but I think those were the first ones that I fapped to. Kelly Clarkson, obviously, and later on, Kelly Clarkson went on to compete in World Idol, and I developed a huge crush on Alicia Genazi. And you got to remember, in the early 2000s, there was no such thing as YouTube. If you wanted to watch more videos of Alicia Genazi, you had to start a download and wait like 2, 3, 4 days for a video to download. And so, but I had a huge crush on her, and I started downloading her videos from Polish Idol. And I developed a huge crush on her opponent, Evelina Falenta. She ended up with second place, and I fapped to her a lot too. Uh, who else? And then later on, so if I had to, if I had counted how many times I had fapped to everybody in my lifetime, I think Alicia Genazi would probably be number one, followed closely by Mary Curie, and uh, maybe Irene Curry. I used to have a crush on her too, and uh, who else? Those are the main ones I would say. I miss the charts and graphs, but again, it's one of those addictions. There probably hasn't been a month in my life where I fapped like 2 times. Right? There have been months where I fapped 0 times. There have been months where I fapped 100 times, but probably not much in between. Right? This is the Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum.